Welcome back to another episode of Three Broomsticks Podcast. On today's episode, we'll be discussing owls.
Yes.
The test.
Yes, not the animals, the test. But before we get started, I want to play a little game of Who Am I?
Okay.
Yes, I know we haven't played this in like 2 seasons probably, so just a little refresher for everybody. If you're new around here, welcome. But so the rules of the game. I am going to start off by saying one statement about a character from the Harry Potter series. Y'all are going to guess who that statement is about. And I'm going to keep going through a list of statements to narrow it down, sort of like a funnel, and then the final guess is hopefully the correct one, and y'all are going to let me know who am I.
Okay.
So, are y'all ready?
Ready.
Okay, who am I? I am a Hogwarts professor.
McGonagall.
Okay. I am fond of Harry.
McGonagall.
I appear in all of the books.
McGonagall. Does she not?
McGonagall.
McGonagall, yeah.
I was there when Harry was dropped at the Dursleys.
McGonagall.
Dumbledore? But he's the headmaster, so...
Well, he was also a professor at Hogwarts.
Anyone else?
Hagrid.
Oh, Hagrid.
I forgot that he was a freaking professor.
Alright.
I just thought of him as a friend.
One more question.
Okay.
I am an animagus.
McGonagall.
McGonagall.
Yes, I am Professor McGonagall. Y'all guessed her very early. I thought y'all were going to think Hagrid.
She's
Well,
like my favorite Hogwarts professor.
She's also my favorite. At first I thought Professor Binns because he was the history teacher, and I was like, oh, maybe that's who.
That was
For
your
some
first
reason.
thought, was Professor Binns?
Yeah. But then I was like, I'm not going to guess it too early if that's what it is.
Oh, that's funny. Cool. So, that's the Who Am I game. Y'all guessed very early though, so we're gonna have to play again in one of the upcoming episodes because I really want to make y'all think on it.
Okay.
So.
I really like these. Like, it's one of my favorite games that we do, other than First Thing You Think Of, because it's so funny.
Yes.
I have such a hard time with that one. I don't
I
do
know.
anything first.
I played that game with a friend yesterday. I was like, hey, we do this weird game on our podcast. And I was like, this made me think of this. We were talking about how our phones, like, listen to us,
Mm-hmm.
and how our ad preferences will show things that we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, let's think of something and we can talk about right now. And if we see an ad for it, we know that this is true.
Yeah.
And so I was like laughing, and I said, okay, this is weird. But the first thing I thought of was water brush. And I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Right? What is
I was
that?
about to say, did you just make that up?
I think it's a real thing, but I don't know.
Anna, I needed my shirt so I can match with y'all.
It's in my car.
Go get it now.
No, it's okay.
Go get it
Afterwards, maybe on the next episode or in a few episodes, I'll match with y'all.
Okay, sounds good.
We got new matching shirts.
Yeah, by the way.
All right.
So, yeah, let's get started with owls. Ordinary wizarding levels, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, owls are like a standardized subject-based competency exam,
Yeah.
basically.
If you're from Texas, you might know this as the tax test.
Is that what it's still called, tax?
I don't think so. I know when I was in school, it was the tax test.
If you're from Texas and nearing 30,
Well,
you'll know it as the tax test. I wonder what it's called in different states, but like, yeah, that's our state standardized test that you have to
Yeah.
take.
Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills.
yeah, there it is.
I'm so old that when I first started taking them, it was called TOS.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, not me.
So,
I don't know what that stood for though. Texas's Assessment
Of
academic
acknowledgement.
Academic skills.
of
Yeah,
acknowledgement
maybe.
skills. Something like that.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, so yeah, it was definitely that whenever I was starting school.
Or maybe it's more of like the SATs.
Oh, that it is
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, you're right.
It probably is more like the SATs, because owls, they make sure that you're competent as a wizard outside of school,
Yep.
and it helps guide you in the direction of the career path that you should take.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some careers actually require you to have a certain grade in several different owl
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
Right.
For you to move on to newt level, which God knows, I have no idea what that stands for.
I don't either. I just know that
Next exams for wizarding.
No, it's something
Yes.
like
The next exams for wizarding test.
I feel like it's something like nauseatingly something.
Oh, yes, it's
wizarding
funny.
something.
Yes.
that's funny as hell.
That really is what
Let's look it up.
Yeah, if I had Alexa in here, I'd ask, but she ain't in here. All right. But, so the owls, they're like a placement exam. So you know where you're at in each of these different courses, and if you pass some of them, you're able to move on to the newts level. And it lets you know, it sort of dictates what career path you're going to go on.
It decides if you can go on to the next level of class.
Yes.
Like, you have to make a certain grade to get into more advanced class.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Newts stands for nastily exhausting wizarding test.
Yes, I was
yes.
like nauseatingly something. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what that means. But yeah, owls are known to affect what career path that you can take as a wizard, because you have to be able to move on to the next level of test and then take the newts to get to certain careers.
And if you pass an owl, it's called achieving an owl. So if you achieve an owl in a specific class, that means you passed it and you're now able to move on.
Right.
Yes. I think that, like, specifically in Harry's generation, when Snape was teaching potions, you had to get at least an E, exceeds expectations, in your owl to go on to his newt level potions class.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
So just things like that.
owls are like a really grueling test, and it's like a huge deal. You take them in your 5th year?
Mm-hmm.
Take them in your 5th year, and it happens over a 2-week period where you have to take it at every level or every class that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a 2-parter for every single class. It's a written part and a practical part. So there's like a questionnaire, and it's not multiple choice, like I said, it's written. So you have to actually write out the answer, and then you have to actually, in a different section, put it into practical use. So, like, for example, charms. Like, you write out the answer to one, and then in the practical side, they're like, perform this charm.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Patronus.
Yeah.
For an example, not that that's what's used in the owl, because that's just super advanced, but just as an example.
And that's kind of like how it's like the SAT, written and practical. And again, it kind of shows the ministry that once you leave school, you're ready to be a competent wizard.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually how it's done in the SATs. I don't remember doing the
I
practical
don't-
part.
I don't remember at all.
No, but it makes me think
That's
of...
exactly how the SATs are.
I
I don't remember the SAT at all.
Hold on.
I didn't even take the SAT, I took the ACT.
I think the SAT.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong.
But it makes me think of like your science classes in college, where you have like an actual like lecture class, and then you have your lab class.
Yeah.
And for like, because I'm a nursing school, you have your lecture, and then you have your clinical class where you perform your skills and you test on that, and then you either pass it or you fail. You have to pass it to become a nurse. So very similar.
Okay, so not like the SATs, but like nursing school.
Right. I'm going to list out the order of basically what order all of the owls go in, because we don't really know throughout the 2 weeks when each one takes place. I'm assuming it's like 1 owl per day.
Yeah.
But you start with potions. So what you would do there is, actually brew a potion, but for like the written side, you'd say like, okay, these are the ingredients in this potion, and this is how you make it.
Right.
So, following potions, you have charms, and in the book, what they did for the charms exam was actually take an egg cup and make it do cartwheels. Isn't that cute?
That is
I
cute.
love
That is
charms.
cute.
I did too.
That's really cute.
And then transfiguration was next. Herbology, care of magical creatures, history of magic, then defense against the dark arts. So in defense against the dark arts, what they did in the book, in Order of the Phoenix, that's year 5, name 5 signs that identify the werewolf. And then the practical side was counter jinxes, defensive spells, boggart banishing spells, and the Patronus charm for bonus points, and Harry gets that. Harry absolutely nailed his defense against the dark arts exam.
Yes. which
He made what, an O?
Yes.
which is really really satisfying because Umbridge in that book is like, he will never be an Auror, and he was like doing really terrible in my defense against the dark arts classes, and McGonagall argued with her, and it was like the best. Anyways, and so in Umbridge's face, he made an O, right?
Mm-hmm. So haha, Umbridge.
Yeah.
So Sarah, why don't you list out what all of the scores are and what each of them mean?
Okay, sounds good. So, like I just said, Harry made in his Defense Against the Dark Arts an O, and so that's the highest level that you can get, the best scoring grade, and that stands for outstanding. Right beneath that, as another passing grade, would be E for exceeds expectations. So that's the second highest. And most advanced classes accept exceeds expectations marks to get into your next level. So outstanding is just like a cut above the rest, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
So that means you're like extremely talented in that area.
Right, 100%. Acceptable is the last passing grade for your owls, and it is acceptable.
Yeah, it's like a 70. You know, it's like you just barely made the cut.
Yeah.
Right, it's acceptable. Yeah, it's like when you make a 70.
You're like, thank God I passed that class or that test.
But barely, I just scraped by.
Yep.
Hey, C's get degrees is what we said in nursing school.
Barely.
I didn't make C's though, like I actually did good.
Just to clarify, and I was not a C student. That's the lowest of the 3 passing grades, but it will not get you into a new level class.
Yeah.
Usually.
So, to get into a new level, you need to have an E or an O, exceeds expectations or outstanding. Then there are also 3 failing grades. So, were you guys looking at each other?
I mean, I was just like, I don't understand the purpose of getting an acceptable, but then you not being able to actually move on.
Well, you can. Because in potions, Harry got acceptable and was able to, right?
I thought Harry got exceeds expectations, but
But
Snape required outstanding.
That's exactly
What happened
okay.
was I think Ron got an acceptable and Slughorn took him anyways.
Gotcha, yeah.
Or maybe they both got exceeds.
So they
I
just
doubt
need, and it might just be like on a basis for like a personal, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It depends on the professor.
Yes.
They decide
That's what I was going to say.
They decide what they'll accept. So
Yeah.
if Ron did get an acceptable in potions, then there was Slughorn as the potions professor the next year, and he said, I'll take acceptables, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You know?
still passing. It's just
It
like,
is.
you're not really where you need to be. So you're
Right.
going to struggle a lot if you were to take this class at
And
a
that's
new level.
probably what they tell them, is like, hey,
Yeah.
you're not going to do
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah,
Or you would have gotten exceeds expectations.
exactly.
Failing grades, there's 3 failing. Poor, which is the highest of the failing
Yep.
grades, but you're
P for
still
poor.
failing.
Yeah.
P for poor. Just means you didn't pass the class, you can't continue on to the new level classes.
Yeah.
I don't
Sucks to
know.
suck.
Yeah, I don't know if you would take it again or like what that's about.
Let's be real. That's like a 50 to 60.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then D for dreadful, can't continue to new classes. You know, I don't know if you retake classes or what the deal is.
At like an owl level.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to retake at an owl level or what. It's not really clear there, but again, dreadful, can't pass.
Yeah. This is like a 40 to 50. And this was my grades in math.
Same. I'm so bad at math.
I'm really, really bad at math as well. It's not a strong point.
I made
Actually.
a 42 on a test one time.
Oh, dude, one time I made it 18. I got a troll on my test one time. Yeah, the lowest failing grade you can get is troll. Lowest grade possible. C for troll. It generally is only applied to a student if they're trying to fail.
Were you trying to fail?
No. I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
I love that meme that was shared the other day. Back on the topic of math class, I think Bianca shared it, but she was like, when you're so bad at math, you just sort of use the multiple choice like a tarot card reading.
Yes. That's what I did.
Like, this is super relatable.
C, A, B, D. Yeah.
We'll go back and read.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the lowest grade. I couldn't find any known recipients of troll when I was trying to look up like owl grades.
Oh, but someone made all O's, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
two.
I think
Hold
it
on,
was
I had
Bill and Percy
Percy.
both.
Bill
And
and Percy and Barty Crouch
Barty
Jr.
Crouch
Yes.
They're the only ones to receive passing grades on all 12 of their owls.
Damn.
So first of all, go Bill.
The Weasley family, man.
Go Percy.
Yeah.
No wonder Ron felt so much pressure going into school. He was
For
like,
sure.
everybody is smart.
Yeah. And it was Percy's owl year in Sorcerer's Stone, right?
Chamber of Secrets, I think.
But he's a prefect in the first one.
Yeah.
So that's gotta be his owl year.
You're right.
Or maybe that's his new year.
Ooh.
Because I think he graduates by Prisoner of Azkaban.
I think you're right. Because then you don't hear much about him except for that he's the
because
worst.
Maybe that's his 7th year.
No, in the 5th book, he's not at Hogwarts anymore. He's an intern at the Ministry of Magic, and he's sending Ron an owl telling him not to be friends with Harry anymore.
Oh, you're right.
So
he's like,
his
this guy's
7th
bad
year
news.
must be 4th
Prisoner.
year.
No, Prisoner.
Because
Because he's a prefect in Sorcerer's Stone, so that's 5, 6, 7.
You're right. That makes sense.
POA. Prisoner of Azkaban. I love the abbreviations.
We know.
Well, it just makes it easier to discuss truly and to like write down in the notes. So anyway, those are the passing and failing grades. Owls are pretty high intensity, and it's a huge deal to pass, obviously, so you can move on to your next classes. So the studying is bananas.
Yeah.
Like, I think you really see it a lot in the movies where they're like pulling their hair out and just like
Yes.
so intense.
Like, students are having panic attacks.
Yes.
I think Hannah Abbott
Yes.
specifically was
She
had
does.
to go to the freaking hospital wing because she was having a breakdown.
Yep. Hermione's like super stressed out. Like
She's really
Dean and
bitchy.
Seamus are like also everyone's stressing.
Is this when she did their studying schedule?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's so
Oh,
cute.
she got planners for all of them.
She
that year.
Yes.
did.
That's
And
so
they
her
were
personality.
the boys were like, this is a crap gift.
She's like, I'm never gonna.
Which
use
sounds
this.
like a boy thing.
But honestly, that's so thoughtful.
It is.
It
I
is
love
really thoughtful.
planners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you need it to move on to the next level, this all gonna affect your career.
Right.
Exactly, and that's why it's such a huge deal. And it's known that students will spend 8 to 9 hours a day studying.
Yep.
So I'm like, they're doing school.
Yeah.
And they're doing 8 to 9 hours a day studying. And the 5th years have a full day before I
Yeah,
think?
the day
It's
before
just
the
studying.
exam. Yeah.
It's like a cram day.
Yeah, and it says the morning of the exams in the Great Hall of Breakfast, everyone's super silent. It's this really intense energy, and they're
Yes.
practicing wand movements and stuff.
Yes, because they're like, we have to do well.
Stressing.
Honestly, I do so much better if my day of the test and the day before, I'm just chilling. Because either you know it or you don't know it. There's no point in cramming for your test. I made the highest grade in nursing school in my exit exam, and it was because I had, story time. I had oral surgery
Oh shit.
that week, and I had been on Norcos for pain relief,
Mhm.
and I was just really super relaxed. And I was like, okay, apparently I just needed to take anti-anxiety or, pain meds before.
I guess so.
Take
my test.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
And I think that they actually in Hogwarts were doing calming potions because
Yeah.
students were so stressed out. I'm like, I can't imagine being that I can't imagine it, but
I get severe
that's
test
a lot of
anxiety.
tests.
Yeah. I haven't taken a test in so long. I'm like,
We're not going to be tested for. Yeah.
So let's talk about careers that require passing owls.
It's a lot of them, and a lot of them require multiple, but I mean healers,
Yeah.
Oh, of course, that's sort of like Anna.
That's
Yeah.
my jam. Yeah.
like professors, of course. You
Yeah.
have the future in your hands,
Yeah.
Aurors.
Yes, in any Department of Magical Law Enforcement career requires that.
Lots of ministry jobs
Yeah.
require you to have.
Yeah. Sort of like government or lawyers, you sort
Right.
of have to have a degree.
Right.
You
Yes.
sort of have to.
You sort of have to have a degree.
Yeah,
Like,
we have to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like the Department of like Regulation and Control of like Magical Creatures, you have to have an owl for that. Like Luna grows up and becomes a magizoologist, you have to have an owl for that. Like,
Okay, I'm sure in like herbology and magical creatures.
yeah.
Oh, that's one thing we
Yeah,
didn't
for sure.
mention in our Luna episode is who she married.
Who does she marry?
She marries Rolf Scamander,
Okay.
Newt Scamander's grandson.
Okay, everyone pretend like this was in the
It's like we mentioned it there. Of course, Anna brings in all the Fantastic Beasts info.
I like Fantastic Beasts.
We know.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, those are just a couple of careers, but most careers do require you to have an owl.
Yeah.
Or at least one owl, you know?
I wonder
At
what
least one acceptable or above.
I wonder what the Unspeakables have to get an owl in.
Ooh,
Probably all 12.
Yeah, charms,
Defense against the dark,
transfiguration, defense
yeah.
for sure, history of magic,
potions.
potions, ancient runes.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, probably definitely ancient runes.
Yeah. And just to remind you guys, the Unspeakables are specifically working in the Department of Mysteries.
Yes.
That's
So-
why I'm saying they have to have 12 owls
They
in
gotta
all
have a
their
lot.
subjects.
Yeah.
And I bet they have to have newts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I was just thinking for healers, you probably have to have a bunch too, like potions and herbology.
Yep.
And defense against the dark arts, and
Magical
charms,
creatures.
transfiguration.
Right.
I'm just like a whole bunch of things that require you to be able to reverse a lot of
Yeah,
magical
yeah,
stuff.
because let's be
Magical
real. This
injuries.
is yes, exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
For sure. Because there could be like you can't transfigure back yourself if
Right.
you like really fuck up. Herbology.
Yeah.
Because that has to do with potions. It has to do okay, I ate this poisonous thing.
Right.
Bazaars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that there's some magical plants that help cure some magical I don't know, like diseases. 'Cause
Yes.
I
Just
think
like
there
in the
are
real
different
world.
diseases in the wizarding world than there probably are in the muggle world.
Agree.
So I would
Oh,
assume
absolutely.
that there's a magical treatment to
Yeah.
help with those.
Yeah. Like dragon pox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And there's some sort of like potion and like plant and like whatever that probably treats that.
Yep.
So that would
For
be
sure.
a thing. What else would require owl levels at least? I guess if you're
careers.
probably like a shop owner, you might need one. Although I
Probably
don't
not.
know if
I
that's a
doubt that.
requirement.
Yeah.
I bet it's just good information to have. You know, I bet it's just good to have information, but you probably don't
Like
have
specialized
to
knowledge. Yeah, I don't
to
think
be
you
like a
have to.
business owner, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it
Like,
would be pretty
definitely-
important.
How about a wand
I
maker? like having a
disagree
wand shop?
because like so in the real world you don't have to have a degree to be a business owner or entrepreneur. It's actually like counterculture. So I feel like it's the same in the wizarding world. Like you're sort of like required to have all of these like certifications and like degrees and stuff from all these schools and like prestigious schools and all this other stuff. But like to be an entrepreneur, you don't really have to.
Yeah, I
So-
think to be a
That's
business
true.
owner, it's probably more of like an experience thing. Like if you're owning a shop for like magical artifacts, it's more about knowing what you're talking about versus having the degree that says you do.
Right, like Borgin and Burke's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like when Tom Riddle worked there, like, yeah, he didn't like go to college or anything, but like he was in like the sales part of it. And it's like
Right.
you don't get an owl in sales, you know?
Right.
I guess that's true.
But I would say probably like to have like a wand shop, yeah, you would need owls in certain things.
Well, maybe because if you're actually making wands, is that what you're talking? Did you say
Yeah.
wand shop?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For like
Then you would probably need to know a lot of magic to be able to do that.
Exactly. That's what I'm
for
saying.
that though, I feel like it's more about knowledge passed down. Like for Ollivander, like he's learned that through his family. I don't think he really like learned all of like the specialized stuff in school.
So it's probably just that the business was passed down to him. So it's probably again one of those things that's more about experience and knowledge versus having to pass.
Yeah,
the
like I
test.
don't think you have
So-
to have owls to be a wand maker. I think that some of that knowledge is probably necessary, but I don't think
Yeah.
you have to have like a passing owl to be a wand maker.
No,
right?
but you might need to be able to take the new classes to be able to be at the level of magic that you need to create the wands. So not maybe necessarily requirement,
Yeah.
but to have that.
The requirement would be more just like perfecting your skill.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure.
ultimately, owning a business or a shop or doing things like that, you're not going to need owls. But if you're
Right.
working within the ministry or anything that's government run, you're going to have an owl.
Where you have to be
Right.
like hired by someone.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Harry's experience doing the owls.
Yes,
Yeah. Let's do it.
Because
So-
we know leading up to it that they were like super stressed out trying to study, and we learn all of this in Order of the Phoenix. So then, day of the exam starts. I think he did the best in, like we said, the Defense Against the Dark Arts, right?
Yes, he did. He got an outstanding in Defense Against the Dark Arts. He really impressed the
Like the proctor.
The board.
the prompter guy, the guy who was like monitoring them and like giving them their exam.
Well, they were like, "Oh, you're Harry Potter."
Yeah, and they're like, well, we've heard about your Patronus, and so like he produced it, and they were like all in awe and like whatever. So he did like really good on his Defense Against the Dark Arts owl, and then he did good in Transfiguration and Charms. Those are 2 classes that he does all right in.
I think he did exceeds expectations in potions. Like
He's actually not a bad potion maker. Like, this is a thing that actually really irritates me, is he's an okay potion maker. It's that he has Snape as a teacher for most of the books that really hurts him as a student in potions, because I know in 6 he has the Half-Blood Prince's book, but they're able to concoct potions without, being in school, and he does all right with it.
Yeah.
And actually, in his first ever potions class, he was taking notes and listening to Snape before Snape was being a jerk to him. So he actually was paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Harry is not bad at magic. Maggots. God, something's wrong with my brain. He's not bad at magic. He's actually pretty talented. And so that's what kind of irritates me about his potion experience. But if he's able to get an exceeds expectations on his potion owl, he obviously knows
Exceeded
some of it.
expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, he did well. He did well on all of his owls except for his History of Magic owl, because he just completely passes out during that owl as he's having like a vision. He's having the vision of Sirius being tortured by Voldemort. And that kind of leads us into him going to the Department of Mysteries. So.
Well, I think what happens is he was like falling asleep during that exam, right? And that's whenever he has
because he
that
dreams
vision.
about it.
Yeah, he dreams it, and then he wakes up and is freaking the heck out. Right. Oh, also, this is in when they're doing their astronomy owl. That's whenever McGonagall, or when they go to arrest Hagrid, and there's a big commotion, and all of the students are on the astronomy tower doing their astronomy lesson, and they witness McGonagall go down, and that's when she gets hit with the stunning spells.
Yeah.
And she has to go to the hospital, and that's when Hagrid leaves and escapes so that he's not fired, basically.
Yeah. I forget which book it is and how we even got to this scene, but in one of the books, we actually see the Marauders taking their owls.
Oh, yes. This is also in the sixth book, when he's doing the lessons with Snape, the occlumency lessons.
Yes.
And he dives into Snape's memory.
Yeah.
And he gets to see his dad and Sirius, all of the Marauders, and Snape taking their Defense Against the Dark Arts owl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we learned that Sirius is like so handsome.
Yeah.
Because that's how he's described.
And Lupin is really smart. Yeah. And Harry's dad is like worried about his hair the entire time while they're taking the test, and Pettigrew. is just
My
not
least favorite
super,
still.
not super great. Which
At anything. Jinx.
Jinx.
Which brings me around to maybe it really is just the traits that you value that puts you in your house, because I don't think that Peter Pettigrew is brave,
He's not.
but I think that he values bravery. So
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. Back to that.
He's the worst.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's really like not like a ton of information about owls, but we did want to make sure that we cover this topic completely, describe what it stands for, all the requirements, why it is so important in the series and to the storyline.
Yeah.
Right.
And all that good stuff.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling doesn't really dive deep into it. It basically just says, like, these are what you can get, and this is the test that they take, and that's kind of all, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It is cool, though, because in, the beginning of the 6th book, everyone's at the burrow, like, the whole trio and fam is at the burrow.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, like, anxiously awaiting their owls, and Hermione is just freaking out, waiting to get it. Whenever she finally gets it, she's, like, stressing to see what her results are, and she's upset because she didn't get all outstandings.
Yeah. Specifically, she didn't get it in Defense Against the Dark Arts. And Harry did.
She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm the smart friend.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then Harry, all of his results we went over, and then Ron, I think he
passed his.
I think he got 1 outstanding. Or maybe Harry got 1 outstanding.
Harry got 1 outstanding.
All right.
And I don't think Ron got any outstanding, but he got all passing.
Yeah. Oh, no, he got a dreadful, right?
Did he?
I think so.
In History of Magic?
Or he got like a poor or something.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't think any of them got a troll.
I think you're right.
Oh, Harry got a troll.
In
history.
Did he?
I think so, right? Yeah. Because he didn't finish the test.
At all. Like, he fell asleep and then he left.
He got a troll?
I think so.
I don't know.
It was either a troll or a dreadful.
I just know that Ron was like, I don't care that I got a dreadful. I wasn't going to take that class next year anyway.
Yeah.
So
We are going to find out what Harry got. Because I got the book right here.
so we can.
It makes me so nostalgic whenever I see the hardback copies of the books, because that's what we had growing up, and like literally I wish that we had My Deathly Hallows in here, because it's just falling apart. Like, we have hot glued the pages back into the spine of the book. That's how
Where
bad
do you
it was.
have it?
I think it's at my house.
Yeah.
And while we're looking this up, I'll just let you guys know. For Christmas, my best friend got me the illustrated copy of Chamber of Secrets, the pop-up one.
That's
It's
cool.
really, really pretty.
That's
I
really
love
cool.
that.
She got me the first book, I think, before my birthday this past year.
Aww.
Yeah.
So
So thank you, Elizabeth. Love you.
let's see. Harry, nobody spoke. Harry managed to open it. He achieved 1 poor in divination, and History of Magic he got dreadful.
Okay,
Everything
yeah.
else is passing.
He hated divination, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ron was looking delighted. Only failed divination and History of Magic. And who cares about them? Aw, Ron's so sweet. I knew you'd be top at Defense Against the Dark Arts.
What a
Aw.
sweetie.
He is.
You gotta love Ron.
7 owls. That's more than Fred and George got together. Oh, that's so funny. Okay.
That is funny.
Cool. Well,
But you're right, because they didn't get very many, and they had the most successful shop in Diagon Alley.
Yep.
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 Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
They have that just business persona and one, like, talented minds for
Yeah.
creating.
They're just so creative.
Yeah.
Yep.
And really innovative. That's what they are.
Yeah.
That's so crucial if you're going to have a business.
And at a time where they really, really needed
a laugh.
laughs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's why they sort of like remind me of Luna too. Like in this period of time, they're like that brightness in a dark world.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially because, you know, whenever you first learn about Weasley's Wizard Wheezes being on Diagon Alley, it's all like dark and creepy, and then there it is, all bright and happy.
Mhm.
Yes.
The
They
one
do
thing.
a really good job in the movie of
Showing that.
Yeah, they're like, the movies are not my favorite just because I love the book so much,
Yeah.
but there are certain things that they do so well And that's one of them.
Yeah, could have been
Right.
executed even better though, but it's just because the books are so awesome.
Yes, if we were the producers and directors of the movies.
That's
Cool.
too funny.
Well, any final thoughts on the owls?
I don't think so. There
I
wasn't
just
that
think
much
it's a
stuff
fun
on it.
topic.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun to think about,
Mhm.
but it makes me a little bit stressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, if I was taking these classes, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like nursing school, truly.
Cool. Well, do y'all want to jump into rapid fire?
Yes,
Sure.
I do.
Cool. I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, question 1. What is your favorite magical detail about Hogwarts?
Oh,
I like that the portraits like move and talk, and that the stairs rearrange themselves all the time.
I was gonna say something about the stairs as well. I like that there's that one stair that you get stuck in.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
like, why? Like, why is that even a thing?
Yeah.
It's just like a
I
random
love that.
deal. But about the castle in general, or just like
Anything about
Hogwarts
Hogwarts
in general, I like that there's the lake that the kids swim in, and that there's a giant squid in the lake. Just so
Yeah.
random.
Yeah.
Giant squid. That's cool.
The giant squid like actually has a personality
Mhm.
and stuff, like
Yeah.
splashes kids and things.
Yeah, that's funny. For me, it's definitely the staircase. That's number 1 because it's just so like magical and fun and sort of like exciting. Like, oh, I have to beat the staircase before it moves, and otherwise I'm gonna be late to class if I don't make it in
Right,
time. And then other than that, I think the forest.
Yeah.
The
Urban
forest.
forest.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Just because it's so like mysterious and creepy, and you're like, oh no, what's really in there? And you end up learning some things about it, but it's just so massive and creepy.
Yeah. I agree.
So, cool.
Okay, well, I will go next. What career path would you take that requires an owl or a newt? Not the one that you have in your life right now, but like a different one. So choose a different one. Emma.
All right.
That's hard. Because I don't really want to be any of those that we listed out.
Yeah, me either. Other than what I already am, a healer.
Well, fine. I guess be a healer, and Victoria, you say I wouldn't want to have to take an owl and just own my own business.
I mean, if I had to decide anything that requires to be an owl, I would be like probably work in like the Department of Mysteries.
That would be cool.
and if I had to be something other than a healer, I might be an auror.
That's cool.
Wow. Okay.
I would do like a magizoologist.
Ooh.
You know,
Okay.
like
cute.
I don't know, or like whatever the equivalent of a vet is.
I think that's what it would be.
Yeah, it would be. Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you are taking owls, do you think that there's any class that you would get a failing grade in, like a troll or dreadful or poor?
Math.
Math.
Arithmancy.
Yeah, arithmancy.
Yeah.
Maybe divination.
For me, it's history of magic.
Oh no, I get an O in history of magic.
I
Yeah,
think
you
I
like
do
history.
well in like charms. Potions might be difficult.
I think it'd be good. at
Potions would be a very, very challenging class.
I think so.
So would transfiguration. So would charms. But
Yeah.
I feel
So
like I would
much
want to put in the most effort into charms and transfiguration
Yeah.
and like ancient runes.
This would all be good.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you all for listening to another episode of Three Broomsticks Podcast. We hope you'll join us back here next week for another episode. In the meantime, make sure you join our Facebook group, Potter Talk at #3BP, a Harry Potter community. And until next time, stay magical.